Now, for the rest of us who don't have that kind of net worth, we need a broad gifting power. The power for the agent to make a gift of an unlimited amount of money. Oh my. Why would I want to do that? Well, as it so happens, most of us, particularly when we're thinking about long-term care, are simply unprepared financially to pay for the cost of our long-term care. We simply don't have enough savings to cover that cost. So we're going to want to apply for various forms of federal benefits to help us pay for that, not the least of which is Medicaid, or in Pennsylvania we call it medical assistance. Let's suppose, for example, I'm married, which I am, and I go to the nursing home. And I own a house with my wife, and we own it jointly. Now, if my wife knew what she was doing, she would say, man, if I die, Bill's going to get the house because we own it jointly. And as soon as I die, he's automatically the owner of the house. But he's living in a nursing home. He needs a house like he needs a hole in the head. It's not helping him at all. There we go. Yep. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. So, I might like to reorder my wife's affairs so that when she died, I wouldn't get the house. Maybe I want the house to go to my kids. Okay. Well, that means we've got to retitle the house. We've got to take the deed out of joint names and put it just in my wife's name so that if she dies first, it'll go under her will, and under the terms of her will, it'll go to my kids, not to me. Because what am I going to do with a house? Nothing. I don't live there anymore. It's just an obligation for me. Well, retitling the house, if I can't personally sign that deed for my wife, how are they going to get it retitled? The answer is they're not. Unless there's a power of attorney in place that says she could make a gift of my half of the house to her. And so she retitles the house into her name. I'm not worse off for that. I'm still in the nursing home. I'm still on Medicaid. No problems so far with anything that we've done. And maybe my wife won't die before I will. But if she did, and that happens about 25% of the time, that house will be protected. It will not come to me where I would have to sell it, take the money, get kicked off of Medicaid, and basically turn it over to the nursing home, paying for my care. Instead, I would have been able to get that house to my children, and they would get the financial benefit of the value of that home when they sold it, which would be a much better result in terms of my estate planning. I stayed in the nursing home, I stayed on Medicaid, everything was fine for me, I didn't need the house. So that gift was actually helpful to me because it helped me fulfill my overall goal of transferring wealth to my children if I could, as long as it didn't come at the expense of my quality of health care. You can't do that without a broad gifting power. Oh, but Bill, if you put that broad gifting power in, you basically said that your agent could take the money that you own, take all of your money. Well, yeah, I did. But they had that power anyway. That was the banking power at the top of that nobody questioned when I said you should have a broad banking power in there. As it turns out, the gifting power is not a license to steal. You're still obligated to show when you use the gifting power that the person you're using it for is better off. As it turns out, that's hard to do most of the time because I'm generally better off having money than not having money. But there's a difference between the gifting power and the banking power. The power in a power of attorney, if you have to think about a power of attorney, think of it as electricity. The electricity that's running through these walls right now. You can plug your cell phone charger into that wall and charge up your phone. That's useful. Everybody would like that. You could plug a TV in or a computer screen. Do all kinds of wonderful things if you plug it into the wall. What happens if you just stick your finger in the outlet? Well, you get zapped across the room, you're probably going to have a pretty bad day, assuming you even survive the event. Okay, well, what about the power in the wall? Was the power good or was it evil? I don't know. Power is just power. It doesn't care whether it's firing up your computer or your cell phone charger or it's electrocuting you. It's just power. It doesn't know. It's how you use it. When you give somebody a power of attorney, you're giving them power. You're giving them raw electricity, the power to charge up your phone or the power to electrocute you. The gifting power does not allow them or more enable them to steal your money and run off to Aruba with Raoul the pool boy. The banking power that every single power of attorney has gave them that power. What the gifting power arguably could do that would be bad is give them a lame excuse after they got caught stealing your money using the banking power to say, oh, well, I wasn't really stealing the money, I was making a gift. In retrospect, I now understand that wasn't such a smart thing to do. I'm sorry. But I didn't steal the money because under the law, my blood-sucking lawyer over here tells me that in order to be found guilty of theft and stealing, I have to have intended it. There's an intent component. I wasn't intending to steal. I was intending to make a gift with my gifting power. It was a misguided understanding, I admit. I was so stupid. But I wasn't trying to be bad. I was just trying to do what I thought I should do. Okay. Now, the courts in Pennsylvania, particularly of late, have been pretty clear about this. That is a lame excuse that will not fly. You will go to jail for theft if you misuse a power of attorney, even with a gifting power in it. Because in most of those situations, the person's conduct was so outrageous, the court was just like, there's absolutely no way we're giving you a pass on that one, gifting power or not. But I meet with clients a lot who have powers of attorney that don't have gifting powers, and I can't use some of my sneaky lawyer tricks to help them because they don't have that document written the way I need it to be written. And they didn't come to see me when they were both happy and healthy. They only came to see me after one of them wound up in the nursing home, and then they were running around like little chickens with their heads cut off. Oh my, this costs $10,000 a month. I'm scared. What am I going to do? Well, not much if I don't have the right kind of power of attorney. Power of attorney documents are not all the same. They are not all created equal. My power of attorney documents are like my little children. I work hard on them. I help craft and mold them to suit the needs of my clients, and I send them off into the world, and I want them to have incredible utility, to do wonderful things for my clients. Having the document isn't nearly as helpful as having the document that says what you need it to say. And figuring out what it needs to say is really a function of thought and planning and experience. It's not just, oh, I grabbed a form off LegalZoom and I slapped a name into it. Having documents of any kind will not solve your legal problems. You can have a will. I leave everything to the Liberace Museum of Las Vegas, Nevada, and I name Charles Manson as executor of my estate. LegalZoom will let me fill that in, and it'll print up a will, and it'll charge me whatever ridiculously low fee it charges me, and I will have a wonderful will that leaves money to an organization that no longer exists, and an estate to be administered by a mass-murdering, imprisoned maniac. Now, congratulations, you have a will. Really? You have nothing. And why was that? Because you were too stupid to know that Liberace closed down his museum several years after he died, because apparently nobody wanted to go. And nobody bothered to clue you in on the idea that Charles Manson wasn't such a great executor. You can't really be an executor when you're locked up in prison for life with a swastika on your forehead and stuff. It's just not a good choice. So if you don't really understand what executors do, how could you possibly pick one who could do the job well? It'd be luck. Lucky guess if you picked the right one. Turns out it's not very hard to pick the right one. But simply having the document didn't fix your problem. It's understanding how that document is tailored to address what your actual problem is and how it accomplishes what your actual goal is. If I bought you a really nice stove, the kind that they keep on, I don't know, Hell's Kitchen, does that make you a better chef? No. I could buy that stove for my 23-year-old son. The kid still couldn't boil water. He struggles to make macaroni and cheese out of a box. It's really frustrating me because I like to cook. I could buy that kid every possible kitchen gadget known to man. He can barely make a peanut butter and jelly. Having all that equipment doesn't make him a better chef. It's the experience to know how to use it that is actually useful. And you can't buy that. Having a will not make your estate plan work if you didn't spend the time to get the document to say what you need it to say to accomplish whatever it is you wanted to accomplish. Big difference. So don't make the mistake of just having a document. Have the document that you need. If you don't know whether you need it or not, then you probably didn't get the right one, or you didn't set it up with a person who could help you answer that question.